Now improve your English by answering an interesting question. If you want to get stronger, it's important to practice.
Hi, I'm Eric. Welcome back to Speaking Practice. Okay, so today's question combines school life with daily life technology. In other words, it's a very common kind of question. It's something you should definitely think about and be ready to answer, so it's good practice. If you've been practicing for a while now, watching the previous videos and trying to answer on your own, I'm sure you can make a speech pretty good now. Maybe you know how to start your speech, how to give a good reason, and maybe explain your main idea with examples. But I'm sure you can always get better. I'm the same. I always want to get better. So why don't we practice together? If you're ready, let's get started.
Speaking practice number 22. Today's question. Which one of the following smartphone functions is the most beneficial to students? Taking photos, listening to music, or recording lectures? I think this is a question that's mostly pretty clear. But when it says recording lectures, I imagine that means making a sound recording so you can listen to the lecture again later. But it's not very clear, so if you think it means a video recording, maybe that's okay. Sometimes these questions leave you with a few doubts, but don't worry. Any choice you make is okay. The quality of your speech is what's really important. If you see this kind of question on the TOEFL, it's an independent speaking question. You have to explain which option you would choose, and you have only 15 seconds to prepare your answer. Then, you have to speak for 45 seconds, giving details and examples, explaining your idea as clearly as possible in that time. Want to try? Like I always say, practicing is the best way to improve. So think about what you would say to answer this question. Then, when you're ready, let's take a look. Example answer. I believe the camera function is the most beneficial for students because pictures capture the scene quickly and add context to your explanation. University lectures are complex, and they often include visual aids like diagrams, graphs, or demonstrations. For example, my professor once gave a lecture about the relationship between all the characters in Shakespeare's Richard III. He explained the family tree and the power hierarchy among all the characters, while saying how these things affected the story. It was very hard to follow, but thankfully he drew a clear diagram on the board. While I was trying to take notes, which is important during a lecture, it would have been impossible to accurately copy all of it into my notebook, so I just took a picture.
Okay, so that was the model answer. What do you think? I chose the camera function because I think it's quick and easy to use. It helps you to remember what happened, and pictures always help you to understand what someone is saying. It's easy to understand if you can see what they're talking about. This question gives you 3 options, which is a lot to choose from. Lately, though, the TOEFL is just giving questions that have 2 options. Prefer A or B, agree or disagree. But still, this kind of question is really good practice. It's basically the same. Again, I want to say that as I see more and more examples from students, it seems like the hardest part of making a good speech is making sentences with rich details and specific examples. Examples and details in your speech basically work like a camera. They put a picture of what you're talking about in the mind of the listener. So they're very important. Now let's talk a little bit more about making speeches with plenty of rich examples and details. Are you ready? Let's go.
Using personal experience. Personal experience is good to use in your speeches because the details and examples are usually more unique, interesting, and clear. Here's today's speech. Let's see how I used personal experience. Once again, I tried to put my speech in a good order from the beginning. I started by saying my choice, and then I gave a reason. Later, I continued by giving details and an example. But then I didn't stop. I continued talking about the example. Actually, I gave one example that was very, very long. Really, almost the whole speech was this personal experience. So, what do you think? Is this too much personal experience? Well, although there are many different kinds of questions and many ways to answer, there are some things you always need in order to have a good speech. So, what's in a good speech? Well, a good speech always has many details. Details are points that make clear who does it, when it happens, what happens, where it happens, how it happens, and why. In my speech, I included all of these details. Who? My professor was giving a lecture. When? Once, while, and during all give information about when things were happening. What was it? It was a lecture about the characters in Shakespeare's Richard III. Where? He wrote on the board, and I copied the information into my notebook. How? By drawing and by taking a picture. Why? Because the lecture was hard to understand, and it would have been impossible to accurately copy all of it. Now you can see that this long example has many details. You may think it's better to give a couple of examples, but with only 15 seconds to prepare and just a short 45-second speech, it's not always possible to think of everything. But whatever you do, the most important thing is to include a lot of details. Make your speech rich and colorful, like this. Key words. Today's topic asked you to choose which smartphone function is the most beneficial. Number 1 is context. Context is the situation and conditions around, as well as before and after the main point or the main idea. For example, if I tell you that I had lunch with my sister, I've given you the main idea, but no context. So what's the context? Well, we had lunch in the park on a warm day by the river. It was crowded. There were dogs and sailboats. It was late summer in the afternoon on a Sunday. Now that you have all the context, you can imagine very accurately what the scene was really like. Next, I talked about visual aids. Visual aids are tools like documents, like graphs, diagrams, charts, to help the audience imagine what the teacher or speaker is talking about. A good teacher will use good visual aids so the kids can really see what she's trying to say. Number 3 is family tree. This is a diagram that shows the complete family relationships of a person. What does your family tree look like? Finally, I mentioned the difficult word hierarchy. Hierarchy means the system of ranking some people above or below others according to power. King Richard was at the top of the hierarchy because the king has the most power and can lead all the others. Unless, of course, all the others decide they don't like the person at the top. And then they all work together to try to change the hierarchy. That happens sometimes. Next question. Remember, you must get all the practice you can. So, try the next question, which is, one of the following 3 kinds of activities will be organized by the International Student Association. Which one do you prefer? International Food Festival, International Music Festival, or International Film Festival? Well, we have some interesting options, so it's a lot to think about. If you try it on your own, you might just see how strong you can get, and then you'll rise to the top of the hierarchy. Hail to the king, baby!
And that's all for today. Thank you for watching. I hope you're getting a better grasp of how to explain things with plenty of details. But really, the more you practice, the better you'll get at it. It might take a long time, and it might seem like a lot of hard work. But don't worry, don't lose hope. If you keep going, you're going to get better. Also, I know that many of you who are watching must have different ideas about how to answer these questions. If you do, that's great. Please leave a comment below. I'm sure it will start an interesting conversation and maybe be helpful to the other students. Also, don't forget to push the like button and subscribe to my channel. It really helps me out. Anyway, if you need more practice, don't worry. There are many more videos coming. I'll see you next time.